Hi, I'm Beth from Sew Country, and today's tutorial is for the latest pattern that was released by Puntillas y Nudos. This is La Chiquita. This is a raw edge wallet, and the unique thing about it, it opens up like a little book, and I really love it. It comes together really quick. You have a slip pocket here in the front. You have a coin purse here in the back. You could also put your cash money in here, not just coins, receipts, whatever. When you open it up, you can keep your ID and your credit cards. So everything that's like personal information is inside. It's not seen from the outside. And then you still have a place right here. I like this. I told the designer that I was definitely keeping Post-it notes in here. I am someone who loves to always keep either a store list or paper on hand in case I'm out and need to write anything down. So I really like that. I'm looking for small pens to be able to just stick in there as well. You could easily add a D-ring to this or a keychain holder if you wanted to do that, but I am not in this tutorial. I'm just keeping mine very simple and just using it like this. I've made several of these, and each time they just get quicker and quicker because once you kind of understand how they come together, they take no time to make. So let's go ahead and talk about the pieces that we'll need and what I'll be using in my wallet today. The first thing I want to talk about is what I consider the exterior of the wallet. The pattern pieces don't say it's exterior, but this is what I consider the exterior. So your slip pocket, you have that right here. That's going to look like this piece. And I do go ahead and mark the placement for the snap. I'm going to be using riveted magnetic snaps on mine, but you can use cam snaps. You can use the metal or the plastic cam snaps, whichever ones are your preference. On my slip pocket, I went ahead and attached my label. You do not have to do a label, but the pattern does tell you about how far you can add your label if you want. You will need a zipper. I went ahead and cut it to the measurements given the pattern and added my pull to it. This is the main piece for your exterior. You can see I have a divot cut right on this side, and that is to help reduce bulk if you are using cam snaps. Cam snaps don't have a very long post, so this will help you to be able to get that really good press with that, since you won't have a lot of bulk there. Go ahead and also cut out the box for your zipper. Designers, unless they specify differently, always just kind of assume you have your fabric right side up and your pattern piece right side up. That will give you the zipper box on the left of your pattern. If you're someone who likes to trace your pattern piece from the wrong side of your vinyl, then you can do that. Have your vinyl wrong side up, have your pattern piece wrong side up. You'll still get the zipper box on the correct side, which is on your left. The lining for your zipper pocket will be a piece of cotton woven. Go ahead and keep it uninterfaced, and go ahead and transfer the marks for the box you're going to cut out to the top of it. Those are the pieces you're going to need to create that exterior wraparound part. The pieces you'll need to create what I consider the interior, you'll have the piece the same as your exterior, but we're going to cut it a little bit differently. We'll still have a divot on one side, but we're also going to make credit card slots and the snap placement. Credit card slots on a raw edge pattern are a little tricky for me to make. I don't have a cutting machine. I cut everything by hand. I tried using my rotary cutter, but it was a little too thick, like it couldn't get close enough to my roller. So I tried using a scalpel. I tried using a box cutter, tried several things, and I just don't get the perfect straight line, so I'm not the best. It's okay, but just in case you're cutting like me, if they're not perfectly straight, you can see they don't matter at all once it's finished. You can't tell and they look fine. For my credit card slots on a raw edge wallet, I always use landscape material. You can use ribbon, that's completely fine too. I have a huge roll of it, and so I just always use this. The pattern tells you the measurements to cut for this piece. You do not have a pattern piece for it, you just have to use the measurements. This is going to be my ID holder. So we have a couple pieces here. Let's take them apart so we can talk about them. We have your vinyl exterior. You do want the curve to be going on your right side. You do want the print to be, if your print's directional, you do want the larger portion at the top. This is going to be a straight edge here, and then you'll have a cutout. And so go ahead and do those pieces. Cut out your ID window, cut out the slot the ID will slide on. This is the cover here. This is a piece of clear vinyl. You really don't even need the clear vinyl, so if you don't have it, don't go out and buy it. But I'm going to put mine because I do have it, just to show you that step. And then we have the backing for it. Just as a note, you will see the wrong side through your window. So if you don't have an ID in here, which the wallet assumes you will, you would see the wrong side. Because on the slip pocket, whenever you open it up, that's when you want to see the pretty side of the fabric. The way you prep this piece is you're going to fold down one edge. The pattern tells you how much to fold it down, and then you fold it down again. I just pressed this. I didn't put any double-sided tape there or anything. Something I do a lot these days is that if it's bothering you and you want it to stay down, I just grab a glue stick and I'll put just a little bit of glue there and then use the iron to dry it. That works great. It holds it down. It's not, of course, a permanent fix, but it holds it down. And my sewing machine has no trouble going through it, so it doesn't like stick up the needle. I definitely use this a lot more than I use double-sided tape in applications like this. I will also use this for the zipper box. So I'm going to leave that out. Put these pieces aside. These are all the pieces we need. That's the only things you will cut out. And let's just go ahead and start prepping everything. The first thing I'm going to prep is this zipper pocket lining piece. I'm going to go ahead and cut just down that straight line that I drew in the middle. So the line in the middle, I'm not cutting around the box. Leave your box there. Just cut a line down the middle and then your angle. So let's go ahead and do that first so that we can get that part taken care of. I just start cutting there in the middle. But once I get it started cutting, I go ahead and open it up so I can make sure I stay on that line. And your angles are about maybe a half to a quarter of an inch away, probably a half of an inch. And then I just cut those angles to the corner of my box. Now we have the opening in the box. What I do is I take my glue stick. I'm not going to do this on camera because I do this beside my iron so that I can immediately press before the glue dries. I go one side at a time. So down this long side, I'll put a layer of glue. And then what I want to do is I want to have the crease of this fold right where my line is. So I'm just folding it open. If you want to use a piece of paper there to make sure you get it perfectly straight, you can, but it's going to come up, it comes up fine. And in the edge, you can see that you're folding to where you're flush with that line, where that's an angled cut. That'll help. So start with your corner, fold it down. If you have the glue on it, that glue will immediately just kind of grab it, and so you already have it kind of holding down. Do the same thing on the other side, and you can even just kind of pull and it'll lay flat. Then hit it with the heat of the iron, and that will stay nice, flat, open. You're going to do that on the other long side, and then you'll also do that with the little triangle corners. This is our first step, so I'm going to go ahead and take mine over to the iron and do that, and then we'll come back to do the other stuff. So now what I need to do is I need to work on that zipper pocket. If your vinyl has direction, make sure that everything's going in the right way. You want the zipper pocket opening on your left. You want this little divot on your right. We're going to make sure that our zipper is going to close to the top. The pattern tells us that we're going to put some double-sided tape here and use it. Of course, you know I do not use double-sided tape. So the way I'm going to do it is I'm just going to flip this over, and I'm going to put a little bit of glue. It's not going to be a lot of glue that's going to cause a lot of messes here. It's just going to be a little bit around the sides just to kind of hold that zipper in place so it's not shifting while I'm sewing. And I would not do this if we didn't have going to be putting the lining on top of this. I would just do it like kind of natural like I typically do, but make sure I got it going the right way. Okay, I want to flip it over, and reposition a little till I get my zipper teeth right in the middle. But the reason why I'm actually going to use something to kind of help hold the zipper in place is because we are not sewing it down just yet. Okay, I'm pushing, getting that glue to stick or tape, whatever you're using. But then what I do is I'll flip it over and I will put the lining piece on top of it. So my divot will be at the top. My zipper will be towards the bottom. I put the wrong side against the wrong side of the vinyl. Just think when you open up your zipper, you want to see this nice opening here. Once I get that in place and get it centered, I'm just going to put some clips on the sides and then I'm going to sew around that box. So I do recommend something to kind of help that zipper stay in place. Otherwise, at this point, it would just be shifting a little too much and give you some grief. Whether you use tape, glue, whatever, I do recommend something. You can't use pins, of course, because it would leave the holes there. But this is the way you want this to look. I am going to change my thread. I realize I don't have black in here, so I'm going to change it. And then what we'll do is we'll stitch all the way around this box. That'll attach the lining, the zipper, and the vinyl all together. And then we'll close up the lining to make a functional pocket. I'm going to pull my threads long so I can knot the threads on the back instead of back stitching, but you can do whichever you prefer. Both will have the same results in the end as to securing the thread, as to securing the stitches. So let's go ahead and sew around the perimeter of the box about 1/8 of an inch away. So I have the zipper attached. You can see everything is attached there. I do have some overhang, but I'm going to sew around and finish off the I'm going to finish the pocket before I trim up my overhang. I definitely don't want anything hanging out over the sides because it will be seen in the end. So I'm just going to flip this up so it is right sides together. I'm going to sew all around this box. So I flip it over to my exterior, and I want to get as close as I can to this zipper pocket opening. I am going to back stitch when I start and sew down this side first, and you'll kind of have to push things away a little. My foot is going right up against the edge of the vinyl. I definitely want to get as close as I can so I can trim off as much as I can. I'm going to back stitch over these teeth 1-2 times just for a little security. Come to the top, lift up your foot, pivot, and I'm choosing to stitch on the zipper tape to attach it to the lining. That'll be as close as I can get, and plus it'll be just extra security for that zipper tape. Again, sewing over the tape and the lining, back stitching over these teeth, and then continuing down to finish out sewing that edge. Now at this point you're going to trim as close as you can without cutting into your stitches. Okay, so I have that zipper pocket completed. The only other thing I need to do now is to take my slip pocket, and you're just clipping this in place. We are not going to sew the zipper, we are not going to sew the slip pocket in place. We are just going to match up the edges and clip it. And I'm off for sure. There we go. I just didn't have it pushed down. I'm going to put a clip on both sides of the divot. And so that is the way my exterior will look. We're done with it, and now it's time to work on the interior. We're going to pull out all the pieces we will need to work on the interior. The first thing we're going to work on is this ID slot pocket. So what I'm going to do is I am going to flip over the vinyl piece, and I'm just going to put a little bit of the glue there to hold that clear vinyl window in place. Of course, you can use double-sided tape, or you can just skip this all together and just clip it while you sew it, whatever your preference is. I want to make sure that when I position this, I center enough on both sides, but I definitely don't want to get it too high to where it closes that opening. I want it kind of flush with that opening. I'm going to sew all around the perimeter of this cutout just 1/8 of an inch away. And then I'm going to come back and just do a row of stitching right underneath this card slot. So I'll have 2 rows here at the top. The only reason I want to put another row here is just to secure that little bit of that ID. So whenever you're putting your hand in and out, it's not pulling down and everything. It's not a necessary step, but I do feel like it helps out. So I am going to stitch mine. I'm going to pull my threads along first. I do feel like you do not need to top stitch around here and add the top stitching underneath the bottom if you're not using the clear vinyl. You could just skip that altogether and make this a little bit simpler, but I do feel the clear vinyl, I do feel the top stitching does make it look a little bit better, more professional, and just a prettier wallet. So I keep doing it. Now that we have this step completed, it's time to add the backing for it. This is the piece, like I said, that we just folded down those edges. And what we're going to do is we'll line up this straight edge first. The folded edge will go against the straight edge. And this is just so we have a finished edge here when we're getting into our slip pocket. You will see the wrong side from the window. The back will have the correct side. I'm just going to clip along here, making sure that that fold stays intact. I'm just going to do a quick check to make sure everything's lined up nicely. It has. And now I'm just going to top stitch down this straight edge only. Okay, so my ID pocket is done. I do know it takes extra time to do all these tying off of threads, but with a raw edge wallet, I do feel like it's best to do it because everything shows. So that part's done. Now we just need to do the credit card slots. For the credit card slots, I'm using this landscaping material. You can use ribbon as well, but I have just a lot of this, so this is what I'm going to be using. It's very thin and easy to work with. I'm going to go ahead and start by turning this piece over, and you can see that I already have some double-sided tape. I have a piece of double-sided tape below each credit card slot and then again down at the bottom. To get this started, I'm going to peel off the bottom credit card slot. That's the third one. I'm going to peel off the paper backing on that double-sided tape. I'm going to take my landscaping material or your ribbon, and I'm just going to fold that raw edge down a little bit, and I'm going to place that folded raw edge directly on that double-sided tape. You can just use your fingers to push it down and make sure that you have it kind of lined up correctly. Mine's a little crooked, so let me straighten that up. And then what you do after you have that taped down, you flip it over and you're just going to top stitch underneath that third credit card slot. You're attaching this material to the vinyl, and that is going to be the start of your credit card pocket. I'm going to choose to leave my threads long so I can pull them to the back and knot them whenever I'm done. But you could back stitch if you don't feel like taking that extra step. The knotting of the threads is probably what takes the longest on this. So now that I've got that top stitch across, I just flip it over and I'm going to pull those threads back and knot them. I'm going to show you how to finish this first one, then start your second one, and then the rest of them I'll just do off camera, but it's the basic same steps, and then I'll come back to show you how I finish it. Now that I have the threads knotted, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take off this row. I'm going to take off this paper on the bottom, and then I will just lay my landscaping material down. Kind of use my fingers to push it in place. Now that we have that, we'll come up to the second slot, remove the paper backing on this one, pull up our material, and this is creating the pocket. And you don't want it too tight, but you do want it flat. You don't want it so loose that it's just bubbling and flopping. You'll use your finger to once again push down on that double-sided tape. Again, I'm going to go over to my right side where the credit card slot opening is on the second in the middle, and I'm going to top stitch right below it the same way as I did the third one, leaving my threads long. And then I'm going to repeat the process, tying the knots in the back, I'm going to put another row of tape here, folding this top piece down and continuing on. I'm going to speed this part of the video up just so you don't have to watch it all, and then I'll come back to show you how I finish it at the end. So I just finished stitching down on that top, the very first credit card slot. I've already knotted my threads. I'm going to pull that off and pull my fabric down, and so we just have to fold up and to close up this last top. So what we're going to do is we're going to add one more strip of double-sided tape right here to fold it back up, and we're almost done with the credit card slots. Fold my tail up, and then I'm going to just fold it just down a little bit just so we have a little bit of overhang there. I'm just going to put another piece of tape here just so I can keep that free edge down and in place. And there my credit card slots are completely done. You can see very little bulk there. If you have a material that can be ironed, you can go ahead and iron it. But everything is done. You can test them out to make sure they work properly. But credit card slots are completed. What I do now is I take that completed slip pocket we made, and I'm just going to match it up and clip it just like I did the slip pocket. I'll do the ID pocket the same way. At this point, all you're going to do is you're going to grab these two pieces. Here is what's considered my exterior. Here's what's considered my interior. I simply match them up wrong sides together, and I'm going to clip all the way around. To finish this wallop, all we're going to do is sew all around the perimeter catching all the sides, all the pieces. I do about 1/8 of an inch. If you feel like that is just not enough, you could do 1/4 of an inch, but you're going to lose some of your wallet, especially here on this pocket. Not so much on this, but you may run into your zipper. So if you can manage to do 1/8, I do suggest 1/8 of an inch all the way around. I always end up trimming after the end, just kind of smoothing up the edges. Sometimes I edge coat, sometimes I don't. I probably will edge coat this one, but I'll probably do that off camera. It does take a while, and I'm not really even that good at it. It's a skill I definitely want to learn. After I got this clipped, I'm just going to push it down, make sure everything's flat, make sure everything lines up. So what I'm going to do to sew this is I'm going to kind of keep a little bit of pressure, especially around this pocket, because I want it to lay flat. I'll keep my threads long, and then whenever I'm done, I'll pull my threads to the interior and knot them off. I still need to add my snaps, and I'm going to use magnetic riveted snaps, so I'll do that off camera, and I still need to edge paint. So I'll stitch around here, and then I'll do those other steps off camera and come back to show you my finished wallet. Okay, so I edge coated all around the tops, bottom side. I also added my magnetic snap, and my wallet is completely done. This wallet is so cute. Look how adorable that is. That's just perfect. Another amazing wallet. Everything's beautiful on it. I love it so much. Just so you know, I'll have the link for the pattern in the description, so you can get this brand new pattern. It's a new release from Puntillas y Nudos. You can also join her Facebook group. If you decide to make one of these, please post it in the Facebook group. We love to see it. Thank you again so much for watching another one of my tutorials. Thank you to Kimberly for allowing me permission to make this. And I hope you guys have a great day sewing something beautiful in your sewing room.